My name is Karen Dykes, and I have a very important subject to talk about. Here recently, our schools have been giving us newsletters about the closing of our child's elementary school. Our children have a very small elementary school. There's less than 200 students from preschool to 5th grade. However, they seem to get a better education than they did at the bigger elementary schools. That's basically what my speech is going to be about. I'm going to talk about the fact that smaller schools have a higher education rate, they have a better one-on-one with the teachers, and they just have a better overall outcome. I'll start off by saying that if anybody has spoken to several children, been around children, you notice that one special child that seems to be just have so much more knowledge than the other children. And you think to yourself, wow, that child is really smart. However, some people think that that child is homeschooled. Smaller schools get this same reputation, because being homeschooled and going to a smaller school, you have a better one-on-one with the children. This one-on-one time is quite crucial to each of the students. With a smaller school, you generally have a smaller teacher-to-student ratio. According to a book written by Mr. Carter, he said that a ratio that's anywhere higher than 15 to 1 is a lot more difficult for the teacher and for the student, and thus requires a secondary teacher. An article written by John also states that small elementary schools actually cost less than smaller secondary schools. Therefore, why not start with a small elementary schools where they get the fundamentals, where they learn their alphabet, they learn to count, they learn all the basics, and then when they get bigger, they can go to bigger schools and add on to that. Another thing is that with smaller schools, the teachers are more likely to notice things. They're more likely to notice if a student is struggling. They're also more likely to notice a behavior change, which can prevent violence. This is because the teacher's not overwhelmed with so many students. Another thing with smaller schools is that they tend to be like a family. Everybody knows everybody, and you've just got the family-oriented environment. Students, anybody in general, tend to perform better in a more comfortable environment. With this, I have been on a website called greatschools.org, and it just rates each individual school in the United States. It also gives not only a rating, but it gives their test scores. It gives how many students they have. It gives a whole lot of information. My children this year go to a school called Union Chapel, which is under 200 students. That school being closed at the end of the year, they will be going to a bigger school called Russell Springs Elementary. And this elementary school has about 500 students, and it's going to be a huge change for them. However, on this website, I found out that Union Chapel was ranked 9 out of 10, and Russell Springs was only ranked 5. And this seems to be a common trend, with the smaller schools having the higher ratings and the larger schools having the lower ratings. The other thing I noticed on this website was the test scores. The test scores appeared to be higher in the smaller schools. With Union Chapel, the lowest test score they had was in the 74th percentile, whereas Russell Springs' lowest was in the 42th percentile. However, statewide, the average was 60%. So you see that Union Chapel was way above the state average. And this is just another example of how the smaller schools get to interact with all the students. We've looked at the teacher-student ratio, the family settings, and overwhelmingness of having more students to deal with. The thing that I've learned the best is personal experience. I got married to my husband in September. Me and my children moved here to Russell Springs, and they started school. Last year, they went to Greene County. Greene County had quite a few elementary schools, and they did the same thing. They closed down the elementary schools. And they realized that having all the kids in one elementary school is not going to work. It was not going to keep them at the top of their education. So they actually split it up. Greene County has a primary school that has preschool through 2nd grade. And then they have an intermediate school that's 3rd grade through 5th grade. And then you have the traditional middle school and high school. This allows the students to have that small family type school and yet still not have 4 or 5 elementary schools spread out over the county. I think this is a good solution. However, my school system has not quite gotten there yet. So, what I ask of you is, if they start talking about closing their elementary schools down, which is becoming a common trend, talk to them about your options. I know that going through the PTO meeting and the school board meetings, I've seen just the arguments of, I don't want my kid to ride the bus for over an hour, or they're too far away from home, or this or that. So you offer them options. Offer them an option of splitting it up to primary school and intermediate school. That way they can get that small one-on-one ratio. And it also helps to keep the younger kids away from the older kids. And this possibly prevents some bullying going on. That is what I'm planning on doing. I've got all summer to try to talk to the school board. And I know it's not going to happen overnight, but all I can tell you is don't give up. Your child's education is the most important thing. So fight for it.